Hey, they're still celebrating in Los Angeles, and I ain't talking about the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. I'm talking about the overnight AFC West contenders. Now that they have bookend pass rushers in Joey Bosa, and now former Chicago Bear, former, at the time, Oakland Raider, Khalil Mack, who they acquired yesterday for a second round pick in this year's draft, 6th round pick in next year's draft. First round pick of NFL information, Jim Trotter from NFL Network. Jim, let's just kind of encapsulate the Mack trade, but within the context of
that was kind of smooth, that transition you made. I got to.
Well, I'll try. But just in the entire totality of this week that we saw in the NFL, starting with Rodgers staying, but more importantly, the seismic trade of Russell Wilson into the AFC West. Now the Chargers counter with a Khalil Mack acquisition to make Herbert, Mahomes, and Wilson, to make Mahomes, Wilson, and Carr's life miserable and Herbert's life better, I beg your pardon. So just kind of your reaction and your thoughts on this Khalil Mack acquisition, the Russell Wilson acquisition, and the state of the AFC West in general.
I actually thought this deal was good for both clubs. From the standpoint, Chicago got out from under Khalil's contract. It's a team that we know is rebuilding. It's not about to win a championship next year. Khalil's got a lot of money due the next 3 years. And so you would think they would have gotten more value in terms of picks, but getting out from under that contract was as big for them as the picks that they received. From a Chargers standpoint, you're right. Now you pair Khalil Mack with Joey Bosa, tremendous, edge rushers, both of them. And then you've got Derwin James on the back end. And I'll say this to you, Mike, they're not done. They've got a lot of money available under the cap. They understand what market they're in. They understand who won the Super Bowl last year. And let me just say they're not done adding to this team.
That's I know something.
Hey, hold on.
But I'm not going to spill it yet.
Well, hold on. Now, okay, in hockey, that's a juicy rebound. Okay, that's a juicy rebound right in front of the net. So I'm going to try to come in and try to get a little closer now. You don't necessarily have to tell me who, but what kind of positions are we talking about? I know they signed Mike Williams, big contract. They brought in Khalil Mack. So where are we talking now? Another defensive lineman?
I'm just going to say that I believe they are going to upgrade that defense even more. Look, you have to understand, we know this. Brandon Staley was like the boy wonder his one season with the LA Rams. They're the number one defense in the league. The unit was stout, talented, made plays. And then he comes to the Chargers the following year as the head coach, and that unit ranks near the bottom or was awful against the run and didn't make stops defensively when it needed to. So we know offensively they're loaded. When you talk about Herbert, when you talk about Keenan Allen, talk about Mike Williams, talk about Austin Eckler, some of the moves they made on the offensive line even a year ago where they brought in Corey Linsley and they drafted Rashawn Slater. I suspect, and I would just say to you, I expect that they are going to continue to upgrade that defense this offseason.
Well, you don't have to confirm. You don't have to confirm or deny. You don't have to confirm or deny. But there's a certain linebacker. There's a certain 8-time All-Pro, I believe, linebacker who was released from Seattle who would look good in a Chargers uniform. And at that
well, first of all,
First
of all, Bobby Wagner would look good in anybody's uniform.
Any uniform, no doubt. But just since you got our mouth watered for some orange juice with the Chargers here, I'm like, okay, my wheels turning now. So, I dig it. I dig it.
There are other areas for them to go as well. Look, if you're going to play in the AFC West with Mahomes, against Russell Wilson, against Carr, you're going to have to be able to cover as well. And there's always that chicken egg question. Does a pass rush make a secondary, or does a secondary make a pass rush? Well, what if you have both?
Oh, okay. So you're saying J.C. Jackson?
I'm just asking.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
I'm just messing
with you.
I
believe they are going to add to this defense.
I'm just messing with you. No doubt. Well, okay.
He would be a great fit. He would be a great fit.
No doubt. But they added to this defense, just to get the second part of that, I asked you a two-part question. That's my mistake. But also, since you've had a couple of days, the Russell Wilson acquisition from both perspectives. There's some disagreement about what I think Seattle made out pretty well, all things considered. Michael thinks it was a ridiculous trade on their part. Michael also, if I may speak for him, thinks that Denver is the new favorite in the AFC West. Your takeaways from that transaction?
I have to side with Mr. Holly here. Look, let's say this. Let's look at it objectively. So last year we saw the 49ers give up 3 number ones and a number 2, and I know one of those number ones was a flip-flop. But for an unproven talent, a quarterback in the draft who hadn't even played the previous season, now you have an established Pro Bowl, All-Pro, potential future Hall of Fame quarterback that you get basically for the same, if not less, than what the 49ers gave up to move up to get an unproven talent. We know this is a quarterback-driven league. We know at least half the teams, at least half, and we know it's more, are searching for that proven franchise quarterback, don't have it. And if you're Seattle, I know Russell has a no-trade clause, but you're telling me that's all you could get back for him? Even privately, some in Denver are like, man, we kind of got over here. We're surprised we didn't have to give up more to get him. So from my standpoint, I think that the Broncos made out in that trade. Because here's the thing too, Mike. Even if you say that Seattle got a good haul in terms of picks and a few players, the question now is they're still looking for a quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. So unless you tell me you believe that Drew Lock or Geno Smith is the answer at quarterback, I'm saying to you, I don't care how many picks you have, especially looking at Seattle's recent draft record. If you want to go through that, it's not real positive. I'm saying, how is Seattle better? I just don't see it.
How's last one for you? How's Washington better after trading for Carson Wentz? Shocking deal. Explain that, because I'm trying to make it make sense. I can't. You can.
I can't. No, I can't. I'm still wondering. And so privately, Washington says, well, other teams were interested in Carson as well. Well, then I would have been like, take him. That's how I feel. Take him. There have been 2 teams that have given up on him now, including one, a head coach in Frank Reich, who thought he could reinvent Carson and get him back to the form he had several years ago. It's not happening. And when you talk to players in the locker room, Carson just does not appear to be that. Look, your quarterback has to be sort of the Pied Piper that everybody wants to follow, that he can lead. Carson Wentz is not that guy based on what we've seen. So unless he undergoes a complete transformation, I just don't see it. And for me, this is just me personally. If I were a GM, I got to have guys who want to compete, who have that attitude like I'm that dog, nobody's better. When I watch how he quit in Philadelphia, the minute he wasn't the guy, to me, that's not a guy I want to get in the foxhole with. And again, I'm just saying that's me. That's my attitude. So Carson Wentz would never be a guy that I would want to go to battle with.
Yeah, and we were talking about Bobby Wagner. Reportedly, the Cowboys, another good fit. Dan Quinn has already the Cowboys have already made contact with Bobby Wagner as well. But I saw what he was saying.
They're not alone, Mike.
No, of course. Oh, God, no.
Yeah,
he's right at the top of the list of free agents. No, I'm saying, but, those easy dot connect in there. But I saw what he said earlier, that he didn't even find out from the Seahawks that he wasn't coming back. And no, to go back to the previous conversation, I'm not saying Seattle's better now than they were with Russell Wilson. I was just saying all things considered, given that he didn't want to be there, that relationship had run its course, he had the no-trade clause. Yeah, they got a glaring hole at quarterback, of course, but that was as good a package it was probably going to get this year, given that that he wanted to leave and they wanted him to go. So that's all.
Yes. See, I still don't buy that because ultimately at the end of the day, even the players who have a no-trade clause, the team still holds all the cards because the team could say to Russell Wilson, you don't want to be here, or either you're going to go where we want to send you, where we get the most value, or you can sit out and don't play. I mean, so they have that control.
They could have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying for a quarterback of that caliber, me personally, I got to come away with more than that. I just got to come away with more than that. And the thing about Bobby Wagner, what you said about the tweet he put out, when I saw that, man, I was really disturbed by it. So I texted, someone high up in the Seattle organization and said, is this true? And the person said no. And I said, well, then explain it to me. And the only response I got is that it was a timing issue. So I don't know what all that means. All I know is that someone in the organization high up is saying that that is not true. I have no reason to doubt Bobby Wagner at all. So I would be fascinated to hear ultimately when these two sides come out about this, what the timeline really was on this, because a player of his stature and everything that he has done for that team and that community deserves to hear about his fate from the organization before he hears about it from anyone else.
Bad business.
No
Bad
doubt.
business.
Always great to hear from you, Jim Trotter. Appreciate the insight, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.